I've talked to leaders from a lot of the other cities that surround us, and the general consensus is these are the floodgates. We lose here, we lose ground here, we are losing it everywhere. We do plan to fight it tooth and nail to the very end. We are not the type to back down.
Hello and welcome to Teaching Liberty. My name is Stephanie Edmonds, and in this video, we're going to be talking with two gentlemen from Plano, Texas, about a lawsuit they filed against the city who wants to change the zoning in their community from single family to multifamily housing to put in an affordable housing complex. This is part 2 of the video I did on 15-minute cities and taking what seems to be conspiracy theory and showing you how it is being played out on the legal level in a town and city near you. I highly recommend going to check out that video to get the legal context, the Supreme Court cases, all the action that has been happening around the country in politics, so you can understand how we got to this situation here today in 2023 in Plano, Texas, where the city's hand is being forced by the federal government to undermine their local control over zoning and take what has historically always been a single family community and force them to turn it into multi-family zoning in the name of affordable housing and fighting discrimination. I really think this is one of the more important videos I've done lately, so make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. We need to get the word out about this. This should be on every station across the nation, every television, every news feed. It should not just be my little YouTube channel here, but you should definitely also make sure you subscribe. Help me grow this channel. Share this video. Let's get the word out. Let's help these two guys in Plano, Texas beat the state from coming in and undermining their individual rights, which really is, right? This is the source of wealth. Unleashing this is what helps give more opportunity to more people, not the state coming in and taking from some people to give to other people. We can all work together to make this nation better and to give more people more opportunity. So let's hear from two gentlemen who are doing just that. Welcome, Lovepreet and Ismael. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is an important issue. I know there's a lot of things in the news about 15-minute cities, and it's easy for those to get swept up in conspiracy theories and debunked by fact checks, but there are actually real things really happening, probably in a city near you. And in fact, even in what is considered one of the free states, Texas, where you guys are. So tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
So just to give a little background, there is a SCOTUS ruling that's based on something called disparate impact. Disparate impact, the standard, basically allows people to challenge housing discriminations without having to prove any type of actual discriminatory intent in the mind of the actual discriminator. So in this case, the city is what they're saying that could possibly the actual discriminator. We live in a town called Plano, Texas. We are a very packed, full city, very developed. We actually are right next door to the actual development in question here. But basically what happened was that little area that's in question was zoned single family for a very long time. The owner of that property was having some issues selling the land up until this recent developer, Versa Developments out of San Antonio, Texas, came along and basically said, hey, we can do something with this. They went in and forced their way through the city council. Starting from the beginning, the developer came in, they started trying to talk to Planning and Zoning Commission of the city of Plano and basically said, hey, we want to build this low-income housing development, 80 units with a couple of affordable units with inside it. We've decided personally the land that we own here to keep it agricultural and raise longhorns on it, because we will never, ever build any type of multifamily housing developments here. As somebody that lives here and knows all these neighbors, it would ruin this community. It would be extremely detrimental to this community. For instance, the traffic studies failed for any type of multifamily developments here. It's actually sitting in a FEMA designated flood zone. It would be out of character. There's no buffer between any type of commercial uses here and that actual property, and it's not located at an intersection of major roadways, it doesn't conform to anything that is based within the city's comprehensive plan. What essentially happened is this developer brought in the group ICP, Inclusive Community Projects, to make sure that this was going to get pushed. And I firmly believe that they picked this piece of land in particular because the city actually offered up choices like, hey, there's other pieces of land in Plano that are equally good. It would fit this type of development. Let us show these to you. And the developer said, no, we want this one. We want this one specifically. And that's because the developer certainly knew, absolutely knew that the city would have a hard time passing this. I've heard from multiple sources. I can't name anybody, unfortunately, but I've heard from multiple sources that within the city that are saying this was a setup. They want us to say no. They want the ability to sue us. They want money from us. They want to be able to push this through and say, hey, no, the city of Plano didn't want us. We're going to claim disparate impact. And then what in turn happens is the DOJ, HUD, they all come in and they drop the hammer on your city. And they say, you know what? We are going to essentially be the clearinghouse for all of your zoning decisions for the foreseeable future until you guys beat us in court. It's crazy. It's really scary.
I know you said things like I've heard and this and that, but if you go back and look at the SCOTUS case that you were referring to that happened in 2015, the Obama White House had actually been working to make sure that cases didn't reach SCOTUS because they were worried that disparate impact was going to get ruled against. So the idea that there's larger powers at play pushing certain cases through and trying to engineer situations is actually how most things end up in SCOTUS. People come up with a situation that they think would have really good standing and they choose a really good case and they test it out and they try to engineer these cases to happen because they think that they're setting what is to be a good precedent, hopefully in the nature of liberty in our Constitution. However, as we've seen, I think it's probably happened throughout history, but in this time, it seems like a lot of our systems are being hijacked and used for reasons that are opposite to liberties and freedoms that are defined in our Constitution. But Ismael, tell me, how do you come into this situation and what have you seen?
So I'm from New Jersey. I moved here to Texas 5 months ago. I've always loved Texas. I am conservative and liberty-minded. I've always been aware of the move that we've been seeing away from freedom and liberty towards tyranny and fascism.
I don't know the numbers for New Jersey, but there were hundreds of thousands of people that left New York. There was 150,000 people that left Connecticut, and a lot of them ended up either in Texas or in Florida. So there's a big movement out there because there is this idea that, oh, it's free out in Texas.
So I moved to Allen, which is 5 minutes away from here, and I met Lovey about a month and a half ago. He was actually a client of mine, and it was maybe the first time I met him, and we started talking about politics. We started talking about like our values, the shared values that we both have together. And he started telling me about this development. And as soon as he started telling me about this development, I visually and physically felt enraged that this was happening here. The very next day, with my 3 kids, I went door to door trying to raise awareness in the immediate community here, talking to as many neighbors as I can, letting them know that they're going to start breaking ground on this development. And essentially this development was going to pass without their consent, without the community's approval, without their knowledge. And again, this area is zoned and has been forever zoned as single family only. I love Oak Point Nature Preserve, and I think that's something that Lovey forgot to mention, is that they're actually going to be building this on Oak Point Nature Preserve, which is a beautiful open green space. I take my kids there, I take the dogs there. So to be putting up this kind of development there, I hope we can reach out and get more people that are environmentally friendly to be like, we can't risk one of our green spaces. And a development like this does not belong in this area.
Yeah, I think people need to realize that when you put in one of these housing developments, not only you talked a lot about traffic, but we need to think about sewage. There needs to be upgrades in sewage and other infrastructure like that, which is where the real pressure, I think, on the environment comes, not just in where the building takes up, but there's a lot of other things that come along with that. And I do think it's interesting how they are setting up to kind of classically like left issues. I know you guys say that you're conservative guys, but I think that these are kind of liberty issues, and the left and the right have gotten a little weird and flip-flop these days. But they're setting up kind of the conservationists against people who care about affordable housing. And I think those two groups overlap a lot, and they're definitely weaponizing that. But Lovepreet, can you tell me, what's the timeline looking for your case? This has been going on for some time. I know you're fighting them in the courts. I know that's expensive. So tell me, what's the timeline and how can people get involved, help, and support you?
So basically, I filed a lawsuit against the city of Plano, as well as the current landowner, not the developer themselves, not yet. I'm coming for you too. But the actual current landowner itself. And right now, what's going on is not only myself, but we've got hundreds and hundreds of neighbors, which actually stood up in front of city council. They responded to a lot of inquiries through the city, and they all decided, hey, we need to put our funds together and fight this thing. This is not the place. We understand the need for this kind of thing, but it's just not the right place. So we got our funds together through a crowdfunding source called Give, Send, Go. You can actually find it. There's a /Save Oak Point if you check it out on the www. But
and I'll link it down in the description down below. You can support them, find out more about their cause, because again, this is not just in their city, this is coming everywhere. And it is about getting those good cases down. It is about setting those precedents. So this is very important for everyone in every city.
I agree. I've talked to leaders from a lot of the other cities that surround us, and the general consensus is these are the floodgates. We lose here, we lose ground here, we are losing it everywhere, and everybody is ready to fight it. Unfortunately, right now we're still in the beginning stages of the lawsuit, so I can't get too deep into it, what's going on, without sacrificing some of our stances. We do plan to fight it tooth and nail to the very end. We are not the type to back down. And that's pretty much all I can really say about the actual lawsuit itself.
So there's one thing I was hoping that Lovey could expand on, and it's how the town council was actually bullied from unanimously voting against the development and striking it down 1 month, and then a month or two later voting in favor of the plan.
Imagine the experts at planning and zoning in your town or city says, hey, this is a horrible idea. This should not be here. And then it turns into a politics game, and the city council says, you know what? We are scared shitless. We're going to lose this lawsuit. We're going to lose our zoning decisions. So now we have no choice but to pass it. At the city council meeting, there were multiple comments, multitude of reasons why before they voted, each and every person said, this is a horrible thing that we're about to have to do, but our hands are tied. I'm really sorry about this, guys. We do care about you. And people are screaming, hey, vote them out, vote them out. And they're like, if that's what needs to happen, but we unfortunately have to protect the city right now. We are being threatened with a lawsuit that would entail us losing all of our zoning decisions.
Everybody in the city wants greater opportunity for our people. And quite frankly, I'm offended at the supposition that we don't want low-income people here. And I believe that the project selection, the way it was framed, the way it's been positioned, is positioning the city for a protracted legal battle. And we're called on council to do what's in the best interest of the city. So personally, I'm faced with a decision between making a decision on a zoning request, which I know is inappropriate for the area for a number of reasons, and avoiding a legal battle which may consequently turn over our zoning decisions to the federal government, as has happened in cities around the country where this has come about.
You guys are the sacrificial lamb right now, unfortunately. Yes, 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 yes. And the look on every single one of those city councilmen's faces was defeat. It was really sad to see. Extremely sad to see.
I do believe there is hope. I don't believe that any of this is inevitable, but it's just about getting out the word, and it's about getting involved in what's going on locally, right? We're staying connected, of course, nationally. That's why we're on here, because we have similarities. We have to share information, but we can't be caught, just doing the online posts, the memes, the national news, right? Who's running for president? That's important. But where it's really happening and where you can have the most impact is going to be locally. So I appreciate you guys for coming out here. We're definitely going to have all that information in the description down below. Support this lawsuit and make sure you're finding out what legislation is going on in your state. I'm here in Connecticut, and we are facing an onslaught of this affordable housing type of legislation. Some are just bills, some have been passed, and they're updating them and giving more enforcement power to the state to undermine your local zoning. So appreciate you guys, and hopefully we can get some more eyes on this story.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.
As I mentioned, we are seeing the same thing happening here in Connecticut. And though you may not be aware of it, I guarantee it is happening in your state too. So yes, share these articles about 15-minute cities, warn your friends and your family of these large trends, but also make sure that you are making that connection to the things happening in your local community. Because it doesn't matter unless you're getting out there, getting on the ground, letting your neighbors know what's happening, educating each other, and taking those collective actions. We all want to see more opportunities for the people in the community around us. And perhaps affordable housing has a role to play in this. However, these heavy-handed actions of the government directly undermine the stated goal. See, what some people and political forces and interested parties are going to try to do is frame this as a group of wealthy residents who are against affordable housing, who don't care about the historical inequities of discrimination. And while I have been using the framing of individuals against the state, it's more than that too. This is about a developer, a private business coming in and misusing rules and laws and policies that have been put in place by the state. They are claiming to be fighting discrimination by providing affordable housing, though there should be real questions about how much affordable housing will ultimately be provided, which is a big question here in Connecticut. They say it's affordable housing, but when we look at the numbers, how much affordable housing is really being provided? So it's about more than just a business, right? One private interest against another. It's about one private interest being able to weaponize the coercive power of the government against individual citizens and overriding local control, right? This wonderful system of federalism that we've developed, which is really the key to liberty, and saying, no, the federal government is right. The people here are wrong. And while the developer claims in his testimony to the city council that it comes at no cost to the taxpayers of Plano, Texas, they are getting tax credits. So whether it's being taxed at the city level or the state level or the federal level, they are using taxpayer money, or would be, to make this project happen. And that is what developers across the country are doing. This isn't just the free market. This is developers using government, state, taxpayer money to fund their projects at the direct expense of the local people who have lived there under certain zoning laws for a long, long time. And this is how those 15-minute cities happen. The state comes in and seizes control of local zoning and policy making rules and does whatever they want. There's big money to be made here. So let's get the word out. Let's keep talking about it, but let's make sure that we're bringing the context and the proper framework to do so. So make sure you've liked this video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Make sure you check out part 1 and make sure you share this video and this channel with your friends. When we think free, we live free.